Have you ever been at a train station late at night when the silence feels a little too heavy? When every shadow seems to stretch just a bit too far? Tonight we're going to Tokyo, to a station where one worker's shift turned into a lifelong nightmare. Pull up a chair, turn down the lights, and let's talk about the train that arrived, but never truly left. It was a completely ordinary night for a station worker in Tokyo. The kind of night where you're just counting down the minutes until your shift ends. The last scheduled train had long since departed, and the platforms were deserted, bathed in the dim, humming glow of the station lights. But then something broke the silence. The familiar sound of a train pulling into the station. He checked his watch. 1:17 a.m. exactly. That was impossible. There were no trains scheduled for this time. He peered down the tracks, and sure enough, a train was gliding to a smooth halt right in front of him. Its interior lights were on, casting a pale, sterile glow. The doors slid open with a soft hiss, inviting non-existent passengers to board the night. But no one got on, and more disturbingly, no one got off. The train was completely, utterly empty. He squinted, trying to see into the driver's cabin at the front. It was dark. No driver, no conductor, just an empty seat. A cold feeling started to creep up his spine. This was wrong, very wrong. Was it a runaway train? A prank? He reached for his radio to report the anomaly, his hand trembling slightly. But before he could press the button, the station's intercom system crackled to life, a sound that made him jump. It wasn't the usual pre-recorded message. It was a voice, a calm, almost serene human voice, speaking with a strange, chilling clarity. It said, "Please remain seated. We are not finished yet." His blood ran cold. Please remain seated. The train was empty. Who was the message for? He stared at the vacant carriages, the open doors like gaping mouths. The silence that followed the announcement was somehow more terrifying than the voice itself. He felt an overwhelming urge to run, to get as far away from that station as possible. But his feet felt glued to the platform. He was frozen, a spectator to a scene that made no sense. After what felt like an eternity, but was probably only a minute, the train doors slid shut with a simple, quiet hiss. The lights inside flickered once, then twice. Then, as silently as it had arrived, the train began to move, pulling away from the platform and disappearing into the darkness of the tunnel ahead. The station was quiet once more. The worker stood there for a long time, heart pounding in his chest, trying to process what he had just witnessed. The next morning, shaken but determined to find a rational explanation, he went straight to his supervisor. He recounted the entire event, the unscheduled arrival at 1:17 a.m., the empty carriages, the phantom driver, and that bone-chilling announcement. His supervisor listened patiently, but with a skeptical look on his face. He assured the worker it was probably just fatigue, the mind playing tricks on him after a long, lonely night shift. But to humor him, they agreed to review the security footage from the previous night. They pulled up the recordings, fast-forwarding to the exact time, and there it was. At 1:17 a.m., the platform cameras clearly showed the station worker standing alone, looking down the tracks. But there was no train. The tracks were empty. The footage showed him standing perfectly still, staring at nothing, then jumping as if startled, and then watching intently as nothing left the station. The supervisor looked at him with a mix of pity and concern. "See," he said gently, "you were just tired. There was nothing there." The worker was stunned. He knew what he saw. He knew what he heard. He insisted they check again from different camera angles. But every single one showed the same thing: an empty platform, an empty track, and him standing alone in the dead of night. He felt like he was losing his mind. Was it all a hallucination? But it had felt so real. The sound, the lights, the cold draft from the open doors. Feeling defeated and confused, he asked to review the audio logs for the intercom system. If the announcement had been real, it would have been recorded. They pulled up the logs for 1:17 a.m. Silence. Complete and total silence. There was no crackle, no calm voice, no strange message. According to all official records, it simply never happened. His supervisor suggested he take a few days off, get some rest. But the worker couldn't let it go. There was one last thing he could check. The security camera that was positioned inside the ticket hall, pointing out towards the platform. They brought up that specific feed, and that's when they saw it. At 1:17 a.m., the camera showed the platform just as the others had. But reflected in the glass of the ticket hall window, something else was visible. A train. A train was clearly reflected in the glass, its lights on, its doors open, sitting right where the worker said it was. But when they looked closer at the reflection, a horrifying detail emerged. The train had no interior. Through its reflected windows, you couldn't see seats or poles or the other side of the platform. You could only see darkness, an endless, consuming void. It was like looking at a photograph with the inside of the train cut out. A shiver went through the room. This was no hallucination. This was something else. Now, thoroughly spooked, the supervisor decided to do some digging. He went into the station's archives, pulling out old, dusty records, looking for anything related to that specific train model or any incidents that might explain this. And he found something. A faded report from 1972. It detailed a tragic accident. A train, the very same model, with the very same train number as the one that had seemingly appeared last night, had been involved in a catastrophic crash. During a powerful earthquake, a section of tunnel wall had collapsed, crushing the train. The accident was so severe that recovery was deemed impossible. The tunnel was sealed off, with the wrecked train and its passengers still inside, entombed forever in the earth beneath Tokyo. The report noted the exact time of the crash: 1:17 a.m. The station worker didn't come in for his next shift. He quit the very next day and, as the story goes, never set foot in a train station again. He couldn't shake the image of that hollow train, or the sound of that calm, disembodied voice. Please remain seated. We are not finished yet. Who wasn't finished? The passengers from 1972. Were they still on their final journey, trapped in a loop, forever trying to reach a destination they never would? The story could end there, a terrifying, isolated incident, but it doesn't. Station staff who have worked the late shift since have their own stories. They say that even now, decades later, the phenomenon continues. Every night at exactly 1:17 a.m., the intercom system crackles to life, and a calm voice echoes through the empty station, delivering its cryptic message. Please remain seated. We are not finished yet. It happens every single night. Even on the nights when no train arrives at all, it serves as a permanent, chilling reminder of the journey that never ended. So if you ever find yourself alone in a quiet station late at night, and you hear an announcement that doesn't make sense, maybe don't wait around to find out who it's for. Some journeys are not meant to be completed, and some passengers are still on board. Thanks for joining me in the shadows tonight. What do you think is happening at that station? Let me know your theories in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more dives into the unknown. Stay safe out there, and see you next time.